Wife threw a coffee cup at my head, splitting it open. Now I'm considering divorce. Bit long, sorry in advance. I now see how easy it is when writing down your thoughts, as I always wondered why people wrote so much. So my wife, 45 female, and I, 50 male, have been married for almost 20 years. We have a 16-year-old daughter, and life has been pretty good. We've had our ups and downs like any marriage, but we work together through it. We have even done MC a couple of times to get ourselves on the right track. Mostly IRL stuff and feeling like roommates. When it comes to household chores, I've always cleaned the house, as I'm a bit OCD with cleaning due to growing up in a house with roaches as a kid. She takes care of the laundry, and we split making dinners on days I'm off, as I work 12 hours a day, 4 days a week. Kiddo takes care of the dishes. So herein lies the issue. The wife is going through perimenopause. She's been super emotional and a bit unlike herself for the last 6 months or so. She is taking meds to help even out her hormones, but it's taking time. One day, she is overly nice, the next day complaining about every little thing and getting all bent out of shape. So yesterday morning was one of her bad days. I forgot to set up the coffee pot to make coffee in the morning. When I went down, she was all bent out of shape over it. I tried my normal tactic of apologizing, as I had a migraine and went to bed early and just forgot. Told her I would make coffee in a bit, as I just up and needed a little bit to get the morning fog out of my head. Typical thing for me in the morning. She didn't like this answer, so as I went to sit on the couch, she threw her coffee cup at me, causing it to smash into my head, breaking and splitting my head open. At first, I was upset that she actually threw something at me like WTF, but then felt liquid, blood obviously, as I couldn't see it going down my neck. I put my hand on it, pulled it back, thinking it was coffee, then saw the blood. Of course, at the sight of this, my wife all of a sudden freaked out, screamed at my daughter to get a towel, all the while apologizing to me and crying, stating she was sorry. We headed to the ER and had our daughter drive, as wife couldn't, as she was a hot mess. Luckily, it wasn't so deep that it needed stitches, and they used that glue stuff. The thing is, I had a rough childhood, home life. I was physically abused by my mom all the way up until I left at 18. My wife knows this, and when she did what she did, it brought back all those memories so long ago forgotten. I love my wife, but I swore to myself that I would never be in a place where I'd be abused ever again. And now I don't know if I would be the idiot if I file for divorce because of this. I know her hormones are partially to blame, but also know she's an adult and responsible for her actions. I guess I'm just looking for advice, wondering if am I the idiot if I decide to leave. Maybe I just needed to vent a little, too. Some relevant comments. Not the idiot, I would file for divorce too. That cup could have hit you on the wrong side of the head and caused severe damage. WTF. I hope your daughter is safe. My coworker's brother was blinded in one eye by an ex-girlfriend that did exactly that. She's so dang lucky it wasn't worse. Not the idiot. You need to make sure you and your daughter are safe from violent outbursts. I am also going through premenopause, which makes me a little crazy at times, but allowing myself to lash out physically is never an option. Period. I was gonna say the same thing. This isn't normal, and even with the perimenopause, there's not an excuse in the work to warrant throwing a coffee mug at the USO and causing a trip to the ER. She felt entitled to throw a coffee mug at him. If it was her boss or a coworker, she wouldn't do that. For not making coffee. The fact she was that upset about something I'm assuming she can do herself, she has thumbs right, is absurd. I wouldn't dream of holding someone responsible for something they didn't do one time that they usually do for both of us. Never mind, they forgot because the night before they had a migraine. That shows she really doesn't have much patience when it comes to his shortcomings, even when valid as he does for hers. Whoa. WTF. Not the idiot, dude. I'm premenopausal and it's hell, I mean genuine hell. And paranoid. I hear things, I sweat all the time, I can't sleep. I'm insanely angry constantly and my fuse is short and lit. And I would never ever be physical in any way, let alone throwing a coffee cup. That's straight out abusive behavior, and hormones, even insane ones, are not an excuse. It doesn't matter if you had a horrible childhood or an ideal one. Your trauma does not make you any less or more deserving of physical assault. If she's assaulting you, she's lost her effing mind. And even mental illness does not mean you have to tolerate an assault. She needs to see a doctor immediately. If she can't restrain herself from getting physical, she has lost her ability to control herself. Update. First, I want to thank everyone for your responses. When I first posted, I thought I would get just a few replies. Obviously, I got way more than a few and was just overwhelmed by the sheer volume of comments. So never replied, but I did my best to read them all. However, working 12-hour days doesn't leave me much free time. So before the update, figured I'd answer some questions that everyone asked. My daughter and I are safe, so thank you again for your worries and concerns. My wife has never had anger issues or thrown stuff ever. Not to say she hasn't yelled or lost her temper, normal when we've had arguments, as we all do. However, she does have depression and anxiety and takes meds for those as well. Sorry if my post made it seem like I was making excuses for her. I was and am not. She's an adult and responsible for her actions. Also, some people mentioned I gave pointless info in the first few paragraphs. I figured it was best to point out that her actions wasn't due to me being a lazy husband. Okay, on to the bit long update. So after posting here, I took some time to cool off as I clearly was still mad about the situation. I took my daughter and we went for a drive. We talked about this issue and asked her how she felt. Much like most of the responses here, we agreed that it would be a good idea to leave the house for a bit. Until her mom, my wife's mental issues have been resolved, meds adjusted. We headed back home and I asked my wife to come down so we could have a family meeting, as she'd been hiding in our bedroom since we came home from the hospital. She came down and clearly feels awful, looked like she hadn't stopped crying since the incident. We both hugged her and told her we loved her but we needed to talk. I told her for at least this week and maybe next week we were going to stay at my sister's place. She could stay in the house as she works from home and can't go into the office. She started to cry again, so waited for her to compose herself and finished. I let her know what she did was abuse. I reminded her of my childhood and that although this was outside of her normal behavior, it has caused a rift in our marriage. But I was willing to give her this one-time pass. However, she has to go see her doctor like yesterday. Tell her everything that happened, everything she was feeling, not to sugarcoat anything so that her doctor can get her the right meds so that this never happens again. As many of you mentioned, it would be dumb of me to throw away 20 years for a one-time F-up. When I posted I was still pretty upset although it was a huge F-up. I think it's something we can work through. I told her that we need to set up an appointment with a MC again, that this is gonna take work on both our parts to move forward. I also told her that if she ever did anything like that again, I would file for divorce and take our daughter with me, that her and my safety was my #1 priority. She apologized several times during the talk. She tried telling us that she's all messed up with her hormones and the meds and she didn't mean to. That when she threw it, it was like as soon as it left her hands she knew she effed up. I let her know that we understand she's going through a lot, but that her hormonal issues are never an excuse for acting out and intentionally throwing stuff at me. That she's an adult and she's responsible for her own actions. Blaming it on hormones or meds or other BS wasn't gonna cut it. I did get a bit heated at this point. She at least acknowledged this and apologized again. So this is where we are at this point. We are at my sister's place now as I write this. Sorry again for the stupidly long post. Again, thank you all you internet strangers for taking the time to read and comment. It allowed me to vent and also get some clarity. Some comments. Maybe you should go to her doctor's appointment with her so you can tell the doctor what's happening from your perspective. It will force her to be completely honest and you can give your input as well. I plan to, thanks. It could also be linked to the menopause. Menopause rage is a real and horrible thing but easy to treat. Go with her to give your side, but I recommend looking into this more. You should go with her to the doctor. When people act irrationally at home, don't expect them to act rationally at the doctor's office. The doctor is going to need some perspective from people your wife is close to, meaning you. Your wife might understand that her behavior here was wrong, but she doesn't have the full scope of it. And there are likely tons of details you've noticed that she hasn't noticed herself. I started acting super out of character in 2014 and my husband gave me an ultimatum of going to the doctor or he'd leave. He came with me and there were so many things that I had no idea about. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. We're still together and have a great relationship and family life. I've never abused him though. Story 2. Throwaway of course. About 6 months ago I noticed an undershirt folded up in my dresser drawer. The weird thing was that the label wasn't from any of the brands that I have, and there was only one of that kind. I tried it on, and it clearly didn't fit me. I assumed that it was an old shirt of mine that somehow got brought out of storage, and tossed it. 2 months later, I find a pair of men's jeans, clearly not my size, folded on the top of the dresser. This was after I was at a conference for a few days. The conference was in my town, but I was gone from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. pretty much every day. I asked my wife about it and family who had visited recently. Nobody had any idea where they came from. I started to suspect something was up, but decided that it was in the best interest of my relationship to just ask once and then trust my wife's response. I tossed the jeans and moved on. This morning, I found a men's polo shirt hanging in my closet. Not my size, and is his brand from a store that I don't shop at, and haven't even stepped foot into for nearly a decade. This, only days after I returned from an out-of-town work trip. I confronted my wife demanding answers. She claims that she knows nothing. I started by asking her why she thinks I'm upset. She jumped straight to "You think I'm cheating." I asked her to put herself in my shoes and try to explain how else I could interpret this pattern. Me being gone. Men's clothing showing up in my house. She never answered the question. We went back and forth, never screaming or throwing things for about an hour, with the shirt lying on the table between us. I kept saying that I don't know is not an acceptable answer. She ended with "or what?" I said that I needed answers one more time and got straight up from the table and left to go back to work. Historically, I do trust her, but I can see how easily lies come out of her mouth when speaking to her family, over seemingly small things. She grew up in an overbearing household and she knows how to cover her tracks. During the conversation, I asked if I could go through her cell phone, something I have never done before or even tried to do. Of course, nothing of note. Something is happening. The pattern is clear to me. Am I overreacting? How should I proceed? Edit. Thanks for the insight, folks. I've been internalizing all of this and trying to remain objective. It's easy to jump to a conclusion about cheating. And yes, the evidence does seem damning. There is some advice in the comments about next steps, and many with differing perspectives on what else could have happened. This has certainly helped me step back and assess the situation more clearly. We had a multiple hour-long conversation. She called my in-laws about the clothing. I called my folks with the same questions. I was given her phone to go through again. I even did some digging with the ISP to get connected devices and websites, texts from cell, etc. No answers anywhere. At the end of the day, I chose to not blow up my entire life, walk out, lawyer, take the kids and run, and instead chose to proceed with caution. If she is cheating, she knows she is going to be heavily scrutinized and will eventually be caught with actual evidence. If not, I avoided destroying my family over nothing. Lots of you will disagree with me, I'm sure, but this is my life and there are nuances at play here that haven't been and won't be shared. Some relevant comments. Is the mystery man just leaving the house no longer wearing pants, or are some of yours missing? Why would mystery man leave with no pants on? That's weird. That's my thought too. Doesn't make sense. All of the items combined make one full set of clothing. There's a dichotomy here. You say she very capable of covering her tracks, but also you keep finding some other dude's clothes in your house. The obvious answer is she's cheating, but is there a chance she's effing with you? Gaslighting you into a divorce. What does she stand to gain? I don't know. Financially, it's a bit equal, although she stopped working recently to take care of our child full-time. I agree that it's sloppy to leave clothing around. It adds up to a full set, so maybe John Doe came in with a bag and left a set on accident. I find others people's stuff in my house all the time. We have a lot of visitors. I think I would need more proof. Last time we had visitors was before clothing showed up, months ago. The clothing would not fit any of our guests. I know everyone keeps saying she's definitely cheating, but women aren't stupid. You honestly think a man is leaving his entire wardrobe and neither he or she notices? Him leaving without jeans. Her folding up clothes she knows aren't yours. You have no children or family members that this would apply to. My thoughts here as well. The clothing wouldn't fit anyone in either of our families or our child. Honestly, I could see the folding of clothes happening. She just puts on the TV and goes to fold. The colors are close enough to clothing I have that she could easily not notice. The size and brands are the only differentiator. Update. Summary. 3 instances of a random dude's clothing in my closet, in my dresser, and on my dresser. I suspected cheating, resulting in a confrontation with my wife and no explanations anywhere. I left off on Tuesday calm, accepting that there had to be something more to the story. The last thing I wanted to do was blow up my life for no reason. About 75% of folks instantly jump to cheating, which is understandable given the context. The other 25% either thought it was fake or needed more info because the idea of folding, hanging clothes in the closet of the person you are cheating is so outlandish, which is also understandable. I was committed to finding answers that would prove my wife's innocence, and eventually we did. Out of all the 7.5 million views and 7K plus comments, the one thing we all missed was the possibility that the clothing had been donated to us, which turned out to be the case. My wife is thrifty, and baby clothing can be expensive. One of the ways we've curbed this cost is by frequently browsing social media marketplaces, looking for people cleaning out their closets. During this process, it seems that some folks included more than just baby clothing in their donations. After some digging, we eventually found the previous owners of both the pants and the polo shirt and confirmed that they did indeed come from them. The last 2 days have been an emotional roller coaster. The silver lining in all of this is that we both stayed calm, cool, and collected during the exchanges. Thanks to everyone for their input and supportive DMs. Edit. Yes, we really do get all of our child's infant clothing secondhand. Most of it hasn't even been worn yet. If you don't have kids, it might sound hard to believe. We also receive these clothes in bulk, like garbage bags full of baby clothes. So not everything is immediately visible or noticeable, and it just gets tossed in with our normal laundry. For those who still doubt, I was the one who did the digging on the donations and sent pictures of the clothing to the previous owners. Both confirmed that the items were theirs. Sorry if you think it's fake, but maybe it's time to step away from the internet. Story 3. This has been an ongoing issue in my family for a while. But now that the wedding is coming up, everything has come to a head. I, 50 male, have a daughter, Emma, 26 female, with whom I've always had a very close relationship. I've been married to my wife, Emma's mom, Laura, 49 female, for 30 years now. We've always been a solid family, or at least, I thought we were. Here's the backstory. A couple of years ago, Emma met her now fiancé, Tom, 28 male. Things moved fast between them, and she quickly fell head over heels. We were happy for her at first, but something changed about a year into their relationship. Emma became distant from us, especially from her mom. Laura and Emma used to be really close, but all of a sudden, Emma started snapping at her for little things, avoiding family dinners, and not sharing much about her life. Then, we found out why. About a year and a half ago, I overheard Emma and Tom having a conversation when they didn't know I was around. Emma was saying horrible things about her mom, things that truly broke my heart. She told Tom that she couldn't stand how overbearing her mom was, that Laura always tried to control her, and that she felt like Laura was jealous of her life and success. She even said she resents her mom for putting so much pressure on her when she was younger. I was floored. Laura has always supported Emma in everything, from helping her through college to providing emotional support during tough times. I never saw this coming. Instead of addressing it right away, I wanted to wait and calmly talk to Emma later. When I finally brought it up with her, she completely shut down and got defensive. She accused me of taking her mom's side and claimed I didn't understand what it was like to grow up with someone who was always in your business. She said some very hurtful things and stormed out. After that, she pretty much cut off communication with her mom, except for minimal contact during holidays or family events. Laura is heartbroken. I'm angry. It's been a mess. Fast forward to now, Emma's getting married. She called me last week to ask if I would walk her down the aisle. But here's the thing, I don't feel right doing that when she's treating her mother like this. Laura isn't even invited to the wedding. Emma said it would make things too uncomfortable if her mom were there. I told Emma that I can't walk her down the aisle if she's excluding her mom, who has done nothing but love and support her all her life. I said that until she makes things right with her mom, I won't be part of the wedding. Emma was furious. She accused me of choosing mom over her, said I was ruining her big day, and claimed I was punishing her for being honest about her feelings. Now, she's threatening to go no contact with both of us, and I'm torn up inside. I love my daughter, but I can't stand by and watch her treat her mother this way. Am I the idiot for refusing to walk her down the aisle? Some comments. I think you need to find out what happened between your daughter and her mom a year and a half ago. This didn't come out of nowhere. Did you ever find out what your daughter meant when she said her mom always tried to control her? That seems like the key to understanding her reaction. You need to look at two possibilities and fairly take love out of the equation here. Either your wife was overbearing to your daughter and you completely ignored or accepted it as normal, which is a strong possibility. Or Tom is the problem and is isolating Emma from the people she loves. But that seems less likely since Emma is only not speaking to your wife. If Tom were pulling the strings here, she probably wouldn't be speaking to you either. Another sign of abuse could be if Emma is also abandoning her friends. You need to consider that your wife may be the issue here. Update: I didn't expect my post to get this much attention, and honestly, I'm still trying to process everything. Things have changed a bit since I first posted, and unfortunately, it's not for the better. I tried reaching out to Emma again, hoping we could work things out, but what I found out has only made the situation worse. Here's what happened. I sat down with Emma to calmly explain how much this situation has been hurting her mom and me, but she wasn't open to it. Instead, she told me she's asked Tom's mom to take on some of the important roles at the wedding that would normally be Laura's, like helping her get ready on the morning of the wedding and giving a speech at the reception. When I asked Emma why she didn't want her mother there at all, she gave me a few specific reasons that, frankly, felt more like excuses. First, she said Laura tends to make everything about herself, and she was worried Laura would cause a scene or try to take the spotlight. Emma brought up how, at her engagement party, Laura made several comments to the guests about how hard it is to let go of your little girl, and kept trying to give a toast, even though Emma and Tom had planned for only the best man and maid of honor to speak. Emma said she felt embarrassed, and that was one of the reasons she feared Laura would try to control things on the wedding day. Emma also claimed Laura has a habit of undermining her decisions. For example, when Emma first started dating Tom, Laura expressed concerns that things were moving too fast, and Emma felt Laura was trying to influence her choice in partners. This is a sensitive topic for Emma because she feels Laura has never fully approved of Tom, and that tension would ruin the day. Hearing all this was hard. Laura may not be perfect, but the idea that she would intentionally make Emma's wedding about herself or try to sabotage the day is just unfair. She has only ever wanted to be there for her daughter, and I know Laura has been nothing but supportive, even when she's had concerns about Tom. When Emma told me that Tom's mom, Sandra, would be filling these roles instead, my heart broke. Laura has dreamed of helping Emma on her wedding day since she was a little girl. Being uninvited was already devastating, but hearing that Tom's mom is taking her place in these intimate moments feels like a complete betrayal. It's not just that Laura is being excluded, it's that someone else is being given the role she should have had. I tried telling Emma that this would only hurt her relationship with her mom further, but she doubled down, saying she needed people around her who supported her decisions and didn't make her feel guilty. She's convinced that Tom's mom understands her better and is more in tune with who she is now. It was a gut punch to hear that, especially knowing how much Laura has always supported her. As for walking her down the aisle, no, I haven't changed my mind. I can't be part of this wedding when Laura is being disrespected like this. It feels wrong to stand by Emma's side while she's treating her mother this way, especially when Laura has only ever tried to be there for her. I'm not sure where our family goes from here. Emma is now saying she might cut contact with us if we don't respect her boundaries, and honestly, I'm heartbroken. I don't want to lose my daughter, but I also can't stand by and let her continue to treat her mom this way. Thanks again for all the support. I'm still trying to make sense of everything, and I guess only time will tell how this plays out. Relevant comments. Clarification. Laura brought up that Emma may be moving too quickly in her relationship with Tom. How quickly? When did they meet? When did they start dating? When did they get engaged? How fast are we talking here? Emma and Tom met about 3 years ago, and things got serious pretty quickly. They started dating just a few weeks after meeting, and within about 6 months, they had moved in together. Laura expressed concerns at the time, feeling like it was all happening a bit fast, especially since Emma hadn't been in many long-term relationships before. Then, around a year into their relationship, Tom proposed. So, from meeting to engagement, it was roughly a year and a half. I think Laura just wanted Emma to slow down and really get to know Tom before making such big life decisions. But Emma took it as her mom trying to control her. Surely you aren't paying for the wedding. No, we're not paying for the wedding. After the fallout between Emma and Laura, it didn't feel right to contribute financially to an event that Laura isn't even invited to. Emma and Tom have been handling the costs themselves, which I think has only added to the tension. If things were different, we would have been happy to help, but given the situation, it just doesn't sit right with me. I'm glad your daughter finally found a family that seems to really care about her. To suggest that Emma finally found a family that cares about her is completely unfair. Laura and I have always loved Emma deeply, and that's exactly why this situation hurts so much. Laura is absolutely heartbroken. She's been crying ever since Emma started pulling away, which has been going on for over a year now. It's been devastating for both of us. Laura has always been there for Emma, supporting her in everything, so to be pushed aside like this is incredibly painful. We want nothing more than to rebuild our relationship with her, but the way she's treating her mother is simply wrong. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.